What's up, everybody? My name is Milton Craig Smith III. Welcome to the live stream. Today, we are here to discuss the subject of Is America Cooked? Is America Cooked? Now, I don't necessarily know about you, but I do think so, only because America itself has been completely and utterly showing me its pure rear behind here lately and recently, and pretty much for the majority of my life, man. I am sick and tired of the constant battling back and forth, which I know will never stop. But what I'm tired of is the fact that opinions are considered facts, right? Opinions are considered facts between both parties. And because those opinions are considered facts between both parties, we as the voter are always stuck in a rock and a hard place to understand what it is that exactly is happening with our candidate. Like our candidate, what stance do they truly have? How are they really running for office? Are they really running to run office, or are they actually just playing in our face and calling it politics? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 50-50 on it, right? Because I wish that so many people would understand that to be in politics, to be in a position of power as these people are, they then have that ability to be able to, affect our lives in positive and negative ways. And if we are foolish enough not to believe so, if we are crazy enough not to believe that they run any part of our life, then, we're just as much lost as they will be. Now, for me, I literally will confess. For years and years and years, when I looked at politics, I was not necessarily interested, only because most of the time when you get interested in politics, you find out that you're interested in nothing, in a sense, because you don't necessarily know what's going on, right? So what I learned was that I was very uninformed. I was extremely uninformed as to what the heck was going on when it came down to politics. Extremely uninformed. And so what used to bother me the most is, all right, so I don't know what's going on, but at the same time, I'm having to pay for exactly what's going on. In some form or fashion, I'm paying for it. In some form or fashion, I am not benefiting from this whatsoever. And in some form or fashion, I am in a position that I'm constantly having to be a voice of reason to reasons I do not understand. You got what I'm saying? So it's like you're trying to talk to yourself into voting for people who you don't necessarily know where they stand. So what I'm about to do here is I'm about to just go to the browser and I'm about to just search up each candidate's name, just their name, to see what the news stories are, to show you that America itself is cooked based upon the biases that are out here. What I wish would happen, and what I believe is coming down the pipeline, is there's going to be news outlets that are created by independents who have the ability to put out stories that we need to see versus the stories that are put in our face to see. You got what I'm saying? And able to speak upon it based upon a factor of truth versus just spewing a bunch of lies to our face. But either way, let's go ahead and start sharing some screens here, and let's get down to the nitty gritty and see where we are here. Come on. All right. Thank you. We're just gonna go to a tab here, and we are going to look at Diddy. Okay, cool. So let's first search everybody's favorite, Donald Trump. Why can't I spell today? Donald Trump. So we're just gonna search up old Trump here to see what's going on. Let me double check my viewership here as far as how I got the screen. So I'm gonna put this as take myself completely off the screen. Well, I might still put my ugly face on the screen. Let's see here. All right, so we're gonna search up Donald Trump to see exactly what's out there and what exactly people are talking about. Okay. Donald Trump confronted on relationship with Laura Loomer. First headline lets me know America is cooked because we are talking about the relationship between him and another woman. Who cares? This is a couple of days, couple of months before an election, before we have a brand new president. Who cares? White House condemns Trump ties to conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer. Trump refuses to criticize Laura Loomer amid concerns from Republican allies about her influence. Pope tells Americans to choose lesser evil between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Pope Francis says Trump both against life. Trump social media stock explodes higher after. I mean, as a constituent, it makes me pissed because what should be talked about, what these should be on, breaking down these headlines, the things that you see, it should be breaking down policy. And we're gonna go to Kamala next. We're just doing this straight off rip, and then I'm using Bing, and then I'm gonna go over to Google, and we'll see what Google says. Now hers looks totally different. Okay, maybe not. Let's see here. Live updates on the election in Pennsylvania. Trump in California rips hairs. Both friends are criticized. We've seen that one. Where campaign tracker when walks to campaign for Harris. Are worried after. Okay, again, a bunch of smoke and mirrors for us. So let's go over to Google, man. See, maybe Google can tell us something. And let's look up, what's her name? There she is. She's on the first page here. Okay. Official campaign. You know, Google's gonna have their sponsored post up there first, and then they're gonna get into the stories. Russia responds to Kamala Harris Donald Trump debate. Leave our president alone. Okay. ABC slams Trump's latest conspiracy theory about debate loss. Build debate momentum. Harris works to gain ground and da-da-da. Yep. The campaign again. I really would love for these here to all discuss policy. I don't want to discuss, what they're feeling or thinking about. I could care less. Like, I want to discuss policy. So let's get into Donald Trump, because we got to be fair. Let's see what Donald Trump is talking about. Donald Trump's top stories, election live updates, election news. Trump says he won't participate in another presidential debate. That was 18. Far-right provocateur who spread 91. Yeah. Laura Loomer again. America is cooked. Okay, now let's jump into the most important. Let's jump into something important here. I'm coming back to it real quick. Let's jump back into something important here. Donald Trump policy. And see what it says when it comes down to his policy. Now, when we talk policy, it's not about how you feel about it. It's about what exactly is there. Okay, so first things first, on Google at least, it pops up the issues, which is on his actual site. So I won't go to BBC, but we'll go to his actual site, and we'll go through the issues page. Now, if I remember correctly, I don't remember this page looking like this the other day when I did a live stream and we watched the debate. But now here it is. It's looking like this. Rebuild the greatest economy in history. Of course, I definitely know he's a sensationalist, so he's going to talk in the sense of greatest, the best, right? President Donald J. Trump records, let's see, let me pull it up for y'all too. Middle class, double the child. Okay, Donald J. Trump passed record-setting tax relief for the middle class, double the child tax credit, and slashed more job-killing regulations than any administration had ever done before. I don't know that to be true, and I'm not about to research it, but if he says any, then you have to believe that it may have some truth, and it may be a lie, right? Real wages quickly increased as a result, and the median household income reached the highest level in the history of our country, while poverty reached a record low. President Trump created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones to revitalize neglected communities, which I know for a fact is true. President Trump produced a booming economic recovery and record low unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, and women. The Biden-Harris administration is the destroy. Okay, I'm not going into that because that's not issues. So it just feels like propaganda once again. Vote for me, vote for me. Instead of telling me, okay, fine. Do I understand exactly what the issues are? So I'm not going to waste time going through all of these because I kind of get the gist from the first one. Number one, when going through people's issues or understanding what people are talking about, I believe as a voter, more in depth understanding of the action plans that are set forth. Because when we are going for a job or we go for an interview, they ask us, how are you going to do this and what are you going to do? Now, if we have a job before, even if it was at that same place and we re-interview at the same place, they're still going to ask us questions based upon the fact of how are you going to make this happen? Not just because we're sitting up here and we're telling them we can, or we're telling them, hey, I can make this happen. But they're going to ask us again, like, how are you going to make this happen? And I believe that every president or person who runs for president should have an outline plan. Now, people not reading it is not that person's fault. It is the pressure that America has on itself to not read, which is the people's fault. Now, if that person was also smart, they would make a conjunction of videos, placing them on social media, going through the details of how they're going to do what they're going to do. Because if they actually put it out there on social media, then they would also be able to not only quote unquote control said narrative, but when they go into to debates, they have video evidence and they have physical evidence as far as written paper to show exactly what their plans are and what they're going to do. And they could go down and outline it. And then let's just say, if they don't go in depth, we as the people have the right to tell them, no, we want more depth to exactly how you're going to do it. And most of the time, what I believe every president should do is attack each issue based upon the fact that how is it going to affect lower class first, upwards to the upper class? Because when you think about something as far as how it affects, most of the time, it's a trickle down thing. And I think we have failed at that, which is as a nation, why we are failing in the sense of peace, love, tranquility, having basic necessities. I understand we have it better than some countries or most countries in the eyesight of comfortability. But do we have it better in the sense of morality and mentality and spirituality? I do not believe so all the time. So for me, I look at it and say, America definitely needs to embrace its range where we begin to not only petrify freedom as the only means of something, but also be in a position where we talk about and ultimately discuss how we're going to be better at being the best by opening up the books, opening up the minds, and opening up what is necessary for people to make informed decisions, and open it up where it's not always based on class or based on race or based on anything other than human. If it ain't based upon a human right or based upon humanism in a sense, then why should we even be worried about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why should we even be worried about it? And I really do wish and hope that one day as Americans, we have the opportunity to freaking do that, man. So yeah. So let's look and see here. I mean, it's a lot of things here. Free, honest, lawful elections, So I believe wholeheartedly once this man gets into office, he's going to try to arrest people for sure. All right. So let's look up Kamala Harris issues. I mean, not issues, excuse me. Policies. Okay, so this is hers. Of course, they want me to donate. I'm not doing that right now, so check it. A new way forward. A new way forward. This is how she's toting herself at the moment. She's a new way forward. She's toting herself as a new way forward. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Only thing is once again, let's see what she's saying. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, are fighting for a new way forward that protects our fundamental freedoms, strengthens our democracy, and ensures every person that has the opportunity to not just get by, but to get ahead. How? As a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and now vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris always stood up for the people against predators, scammers, and powerful interests. She promises to be a president for all Americans, a president who unites us around our highest aspirations, and a president who always fights for the American people. From the courthouse to the White House, that has been her life's work. Now, for you and me looking at this, do we understand that that says the same thing that pretty much every politician has said from here to the beginning of time? I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to make sure I take care of you. I'm going to give you a better life. I'm going to save you from the previous candidate. If you know anything about anything, then you know that is utter and complete. Okay? It is something that I look at and say, when is enough going to be enough for these people to stop playing politics and actually do the job that it takes in order for people in the country that they want to vote for them to actually have a chance at doing so without worrying about being broke all the time. Like, like I'm not, it's frustrating, man, because I guess for a long time, growing up, you listen to all the adults around you talk about how they freaking vote and how, this is going to go and I'm not voting this way because of this and that. And then you watch and you just wonder and you hear people talk about what changed for them. And you realize it's so incremental. Like the changes have not happened to the point where people can truly say that there's obvious change in their life. They can only say that they may have felt some of the change, but in reality, they can't say they felt it for real. And that's what's tough. That's what's tough for me, and that's what should be tough for all voters, right? Because most people should hold not just themselves, but hold everything that they're involved in to a higher standard, especially when it comes to voting. I'm not talking about who I'm for, excuse me. What I'm speaking on is the factor of government in itself. These two candidates are a microcosm, or extremely small microcosm. They are the executive branch, but they are a microcosm of the entirety of the government. Like I've said before on here, if you go on congress.gov, which I will do right now, go on congress.gov. If you go on congress.gov, one of the things that you can do, any subject that you want to discuss, or read about when it comes to, or discuss, right? You can come on here and research it. You can even research the candidate's name. Let me look up Kamala Harris first, and then we'll look into Donald Trump. I'm not going to go into each one, but just look at it for what it is, right? So here on the first page, you can see it lets you know what they're putting on the floor to be voted upon. This here, the last action was taken in 03/24/2023. That's where it is right there. Okay. Now, the name of it is H.Res.253, 118th Congress, which is the Congress that is voting on it, right? Once the new Congress is voted in, it'll say 119th Congress. Expressing the sense of the House of Representatives that Vice President Kamala Harris should be removed from her position as the head of the Biden administration strategy to address the root cause of migration. So these are the things that they vote on, they speak on. Now, they criticize the person in the media, and they're always playing media games, right? But this is where you need to look to see exactly why the criticism is coming and what they're trying to do in order to gain. Are they talking to us, the American people? Or are they talking to each other? Right? Or are they talking to both? And this is how you kind of figure those things out. So let me show you something real quick. Give me 1 second here. Let me make this screen a little smaller again here. And we're going to look up Mr. Trump himself to see what things have been presented while he has not been in office. I can't spell today, huh? All right. That's his name. All right. Let me pull y'all back in here. Now, all right, we're going to do it the same way we just did it. Now, this one was just put in February. When you look here, it says last action, right? February 16th, 2 days after Valentine's Day. It'll also show you here who did it. Andrew Ogles, Republican of Tennessee, introduced this in 2016. If you click here to give you all the co-sponsors and everything. H.Res.1021, providing the sense of the House of Representatives that the political persecution of Donald Trump is morally unjustifiable and has damaged institutional trust to an extraordinary degree. That the Biden administration's weaponization of the federal government against Donald Trump, the Republican Party's nominee for president in 2024, must end. And so on and so forth. I can go into it. I'm pretty much everybody can get the gist of what that means, right? So think about this. Let's look on here and see what it says about topics such as, okay, African Americans. I'm interested in that because I am one. Okay, let's see what's going on here. All right. Introduced by Cory Booker, 6/22/23. Last action was taken 6/22/23. S.Res.268. A resolution recognizing the contributions of African Americans to the musical heritage of the United States and the need for greater access to music education for African American students, and designating June 2023 as African American Appreciation Month. Now, this is something, if you look it up, you say, okay, you know, how did holiday come about? This is how these holidays come about. This is how these things are done. Anything you want to find on any candidate, I promise you, you can find it here on congress.gov. You can find it on congress.gov. I promise you. There's nothing that is hidden from you unless you do not want to find it. Now, when it comes down to the factor of, you know, how our candidates feel about us or what they think about us or all of these things, we don't know. But to understand how cooked America is, I think at the top of each one of these pages, first things need to be about wages and about the factor of how to hold corporate interest accountable to paying us what we're worth versus paying us what they think we're worth, and only giving us the sense or the ability that somehow we're not worth as much because that business deserves more. Now, I'm not against business owners and I'm not against businesses whatsoever. I'm not against entrepreneurs whatsoever. What I am against is the fact that there's so many people out here who could really benefit from a leg up. Not asking you to take that person and make them freaking Warren Buffett tomorrow, but my goodness, like what's the harm in actually paying someone and making where that person can not only have a livable wage, but have the type of wage where they no longer have to depend on anything from the government per se. They pay their taxes, they do what they're supposed to do, but they're not depending on things from the government per se. When I say per se, I mean like this. They're not depending on welfare, food stamps, things like that. They have a livable wage, so they get off of the dockets of the United States government. So our government does not go bankrupt due to the fact that it can't make payments on the loans that is taken out, right, over time. But then the punishment is we got to hoard the money, not give it to the citizens, understanding the citizens, technically speaking, and you guys know what I'm saying is true for all of you who are here. You know for a fact that once this is given, like say if tomorrow black folks got reparations, if I woke up tomorrow and they told me I had reparations, number one, no work. Okay, I don't know my lineage as far back as it needs to go. Okay, or as far back as it goes, but I know for a fact I'm owed some heavy dollars. Okay, so let's just say if we got reparations tomorrow. If we got reparations tomorrow, let's say if I'm looking at a good, smooth $5 million and the government takes half, that's $2.5 million. In today's world and yesterday's world, that is life-changing bread. That's life-changing money. I'm debt-free. I am no longer paying for a lot of things. Okay. The question is at that point, and my point is, the question is, who's going to give that money back to the United States government? I can promise you this, that number will be well over 50%. It will be well over 50% of people will give that money right back to entities, because the first thing people want to do is go out here and flex for others. Now, our candidates, the people who run They do not speak to us in the matter of us flexing more. They speak to us in the months of saving us, and they embed the idea that if I save you, if I give you this, now you can go have the life that you've always wanted to have. They don't tell you how they're going to do it. They don't tell you what they're going to give to you. They just got to plant the seed, and you just take the rest and you run with it. You start watering it, and you start coming up with these ideas of all the things you can do. Now, the sad part is that the moment Kamala Harris, she made a decision, she spoke at the NCAAP about this very thing, I believe. I think it was the NCAAP. I can't remember. But I think she spoke about this, and she said that she would sign that bill for reparations to come to black folks, to come to African Americans, descendants of slaves. She said she would do that. And I got scared for her immediately. Because it's like, yeah. I got scared for her immediately because in this United States of America, to give black folks anything, especially a leg up financially, is seen as the ultimate betrayal to the United States that enslaved us in the first dang place. I'm just being honest. Like, why would you give anybody something to help them while we're supposed to be benefiting from these very same people? I'm here to tell y'all, though. I'm here to tell y'all something. I have never been more encouraged in my life, not because of Kamala running, but I've never been more encouraged in my life. Because once you see two candidates the way we have them, it lets you know that if this is what we have, if this is quote unquote the worst of what we have, then that means maybe it can't get any worse. I know everything can always get worse. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, maybe, just maybe, we might be okay. Maybe we might be okay with these two as the ones at the helm, because how much more can they screw up something that's already so screwed? It gets me also afraid that this, in a world where black people are more, and not just black people, in this world, in this United States, there has to be something to be said about the fact of where we're headed, what we're going, and how we're benefiting each other or not benefiting each other. As American citizens, it seems like we care less about each other and care more about people who don't even live next to us every day. We care more about the candidate than we do about the neighbor. So I feel like if we reverse engineered it and start caring about each other more than we cared about the candidate, then the candidate maybe just might start caring about us more and not utilize the stories of people who do give a god doggone about the other person as a way to say, you see that Americans, we love each other here. We take care of each other in the United States. We love each other here. I feel like that is the biggest cop out, because there are so many people on this United States, and there's so many people here. There's so many folks, right? It's got my yellow thing going, so it might mean I'm clipping. If I'm clipping, y'all let me know. Clipping means popping. Sound pops. So if it encourages me for that, but it's like if we began to take care of one another in a way that helped us not only be better Americans, but just be better overall humans, I would think at that moment that we would not force our politicians to take care of us, but we will put ourselves in a position where our politicians would understand that we're no longer putting each other last. We're no longer putting each other behind the 8 ball. I'm not just running past my fellow human in the same place or geographical region. I'm running towards them to help them. What frustrates me the most, and this is the most frustrating thing of all time for me, is to watch us constantly fight and battle for the likes of other people than we fight for one another. It pisses me off. Because I can sit up here and tell you everything a person of any race, even my own, has done to me. And I also can tell you every person of any race, even my own, that they've done for me. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at where we are, and I'm understanding one thing about us, 100% to be true. America itself, the institution, the system, the way we are built is cooked. It needs to be reset. We need to go through a very, very hard time. We need to go through a hard time. Now, there's those of you out there who will say, I'm already going through a hard time. I understand that. I truly understand. And do I empathize with you? Heck yes. Heck yes, I empathize, because I have been there. But one thing I can say about that is this. Are you in a position to understand, or do you really believe that these people care enough about you to save you from the hard time that you're going for? I would have to say they do not. And the reason I say these people do not care about you, because if they really cared about you, they wouldn't do everything to position themselves to campaign for you to vote for them. They would only be going around, not campaigning, but putting themselves in positions to be questioned, to be criticized, to be, in a sense, harmed. They would be putting themselves in positions where they're dealing with you on a personal level, because yes, they do want your vote, but they also want to understand. And they're also not only just nodding their head saying yes, but they're taking real notes as to what to do, what's happening in this area, what's happening in the areas that I'm visiting, in order to impact those areas in a great way. Because if I start to just depend on whoever, governor or whoever in those areas, I'm also screwing the people, because that governor, that person may not be a good person. And that's real. Now, the biggest thing that I have to figure out, and that I'm thinking about, and I'll go into in another day, is what happens in a space where elections and everything like this, where we cannot even trust the people who are up there, so much to the point where we're told by the freaking Pope, choose the lesser of the two evils. The Pope, the freaking Pope is saying that. What world are we in where the Pope is not saying pray? What world are we in where the Pope doesn't say, ask God who is the ones we should be voting for? This is the Pope. So it lets you know, it makes you wonder too. And it also lets you know where he stands, but it also makes you wonder, what the heck are these two candidates about so much for? Even the Pope is like, hey, just choose between the lesser of two evils, man. It frustrates me because I feel like there's something more in the works. I've only heard of, but I've never seen the attempt on a president's life, or even former president's life. I've never seen that until recently. Some people say it's staged. I don't know. All I know is that watching it, if somebody was shooting at his ear and it was fake, whatever. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't happen, it didn't happen. Then I'll say I've never seen it. But as far as I understand, it's something that I saw. The attempt, staged or not. And I wonder why that is something that hasn't been more of a concern, understanding that that one incident is a microcosm again, or a micro incident into what people feel on a greater plane, not just towards that one person. Because there's a lot of folks out here who feel screwed over by them folks up there in them suits and ties, man, and the pantsuits and all of that. I am not one to say go incite violence or bring violence against these people. I'm not going to say that, and I will never say that. But one thing I'm not understanding, and one thing I do not like about this, is that there are so many people who are at the detriment of those people, and those people get to walk around free, screwing up, making decisions that impact us in negative ways, and they get to be okay doing so. Not in a physical sense, but they just get to be okay. That to me is the gravest issue. I also think there needs to be age terms, not just how old you are or minimal age, but I think there needs to be a cap on it. Like, bro, hey, no diss. Me at 84 years old or 82, God willing, I make it to those ages. 82, 84, ain't no way I want to be no president. Right? I'm not trying to say there shouldn't be an aspiration of other people and people shouldn't want to hold those offices. But Lord, geez, please, come on, y'all. You got to be for real. No. And there definitely needs to be term limits on senators. In the sense of, bro, you can only hold this office twice. The president can hold his office twice. Same for you, homie. Same for you. Or make it the equivalent of 8 years. Since the president is 8 years, you got the equivalent of 8. So 4 terms, you got that and you're out. Because these people get in there. Once they get in there, they in there forever. And I think they don't like the constant turn because it's like, well, all these new blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, what better ideas or had, or what, and if you go back to Congress.gov or be on Congress.gov, which we were on, it shows you all the ideas that are there. When I say ideas, I mean these are things that are presented just under the word African Americans, and it's over 2030. It's 2036 total. How many of these things have been? I mean, come on. This is just introduced, agreed to the Senate, introduced. How many of these things are actually voted on and made into law or made into like actuality? It's tiring, man. It's tiring being an American. I know the song is "I'm proud to be an American," but I'm here to tell you, it is tiring being an American, bro. So all in all, I say that to say, I believe whole freaking heartedly that the United States as we know it, the America as we know it, the good times, the kick off your shoes and relax your feet times is over for us. We're headed into an era where there will be less people, because there's right now kids watching this play out who aren't old enough to be in office yet. Some of them have an interest in working in government. There will be kids who get into a place where we are not holding these candidates to a very high standard. And those kids will get in that place and they're going to ramp it up to the point of no return. They are going to take America and turn it on its hind, pick it up by its legs and start shaking it, because there's too many people on the bottom watching the top fight over how to keep us on the bottom. Too many. Either way, thank you guys for attending the Milk Talks show. Those of you who have seen the live show, those of you who see it or listen to it on all the podcasting platforms out there, Spotify, Apple, you name it, Google Podcasts. Those of you who check us out, thank you so much. Those of you who give us any comments or likes or anything or shares, I appreciate you. Over here on Twitch as well. I just started streaming on Twitch, I don't know, maybe this month. So I appreciate everybody who taps in. I appreciate everybody who rocks with me. And I want to let you guys know I pray the best for you and I pray the best for your family. Peace.